Welcome to Florida Men on Florida Man, another episode of The Social. We are here today with professional Supercross and motocross racer Cullin Park. Cullin, how are you, bro?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for letting us show up here. Where are we at? Sandbox? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Moto Sandbox. Jason Baker with Dream Tracks has created this awesome facility. There's a lot of tracks. There's 2 Supercross tracks, 2 outdoor tracks, glorified corner track. It's super brutal out there.
I was going to ask, is that a corner track?
Yes, it is. It
a
is.
brutal one, though.
Yeah, a brutal one.
Yeah.
Dude,
It looks awesome.
Everything looks brutal to me as somebody who doesn't ride.
Right.
Now, I just wanted to kind of maybe go into this because I am super amateur. Could you explain to our listeners and to ourselves, like, what's the difference between motocross and supercross?
Okay, so Supercross is actually in a stadium. So, like, we go to, we actually are going to 2 speedways this year as well. We already raced in Daytona International Speedway, like on the infield right there. So that part was really cool. And that being my home race as well, being from Florida, had a lot of family and friends there. So it was really
cool.
cool.
They build a track like in the middle?
Yeah, like, so when you're watching NASCAR and they go by and it says like Daytona painted in the grass, that's where we're racing.
No
they go build a Supercross track.
They take the sand right off the beach, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We actually, no joke, we actually
What?
do have a sand section on the track, and they call it like it's the beach is what they call it.
Wow.
And it's just one section through the track. But yeah, so anyway, the other Supercross races are normally like in I forgot what. Oh, Raymond James Stadium.
No crap.
No way.
We raced there as well. Tom Brady's hometown now,
Come
you know.
on.
And
Holy crap.
but yeah, we go all over the country. Like next weekend, I'm racing in St. Louis, and my last race was in Indianapolis. So the series goes to California, goes to Foxborough, Massachusetts. So yeah, all over the country.
And that's specifically Supercross.
Yes, this is Supercross in the stadiums. And then we're actually going to Atlanta Motor Speedway as well. So second speedway. Normally, there's only one speedway and it's Daytona, but this year we're going to Atlanta as well. And then motocross is all outdoors. It's during the summer. It's hot. It's brutal. It's rough. The fans are hardcore because it's during the summer, so you gotta be out there suffering to be able to walk. Exactly.
That's cool.
You gotta be out there. You gotta love it to watch it during the summer, you know. And so that is that's also all over the country. The series goes everywhere: Washington, California, Massachusetts as well.
You have a motorcycle, so you have to drive to all these places?
So it depends. So there's people called privateers and there's factory riders. So privateers
What's happening?
are people who's not on a team, so they have to drive to every race.
Okay.
They're in a van or whatever,
Right.
maybe a motorhome. They're driving all over the country. And then you have people that are like factory riders or on teams, and they get to fly to the race. And the team has a semi. The semi drives, truck driver, and then all the team gets to fly into all the races. So
What's the top dog?
like?
so I'm not quite on a factory team, but our team is, you would call it a satellite team. It's called Phoenix Racing Honda.
Yeah.
And so we have a semi for the Supercrosses. I get to fly in, and
Wow.
this is truly my dream job, being able to.
No way, dude.
Yeah, it's my first year
Now it's my
professional.
dream job.
So yeah, this is
geez.
like you get to travel the country racing your dirt bike, and it's what I love to do. So like
I'm
so
real.
stoked
In
to have this
stadiums,
opportunity.
though, that kind of blows my mind because just the presence of being in a stadium by itself as a fan,
Right.
but then being down center and just having people around you, it's got to be intimidating.
Exactly. So I've raced 5 Supercrosses now, and I haven't raced a motocross race yet professionally, but Supercross, like they're at nighttime. Man, when the lights
that's
come
so
on,
cool.
we have opening ceremonies, fireworks, fire
Holy
going off, and
crap.
it's like you're sitting down there, you see all the fans, you're crapping your pants.
Yeah.
So, man,
Oh, yeah.
it's so much fun.
Does
So.
it? I mean, do you ever feel like? I mean, because you've been doing this for a long time, yeah.
Yeah, I'm now 20 years old, and I got my first dirt bike for my 4th birthday. So
Wow.
and also for my 4th birthday, it was a Honda 50, and now I turned professional on Honda. So it was pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that may have been the video we saw when we were looking up,
Oh, yeah, I was on a Honda in that video.
That was
Actually,
probably
I
it.
was.
And we're
I
like,
was.
what interview questions can we bring? And
Yeah.
it's like, we're here with Cullin. How'd you like those jumps out there? And you're like, I loved them.
Yeah, my squeaky little voice. Yeah.
Well, dude, so like, I mean, do you ever find yourself, even though you've been doing it your whole life, what makes you more nervous, like the track or like the stadium environment, or either one?
Or the competitors.
So to be honest, it's kind of tough to say. So I'm not gonna lie. Going into Supercross, being a professional, it's much more of a pressure stage. You know, there's a lot more pressure on you. And going into the first race, I was expecting to not be able to sleep the night before, like be just nervous throughout the day. And man, I don't know why. I wasn't really nervous.
That's
and like,
cool.
I just took it all in. My whole family was able to come because like, you know, obviously they've been there for me. They've sacrificed a lot to even get me to this point.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they were all able to be there. Mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma,
the whole family.
Wow.
uncles, cousins.
Holy
and so,
crap.
yeah, I expect to be really nervous. And to be honest, I was just like in my element, like just
No
taking
way.
it all in, like sitting down there on the floor, looking up, seeing all the fans and stuff.
This
and
is
I was
where I
like,
belong.
dude, like this is like I worked my whole life to be
yeah,
an
you've been
announcer.
waiting
Yeah.
a long
So,
time.
but yeah, to answer your question, I would say the track me a little bit because it's a new track every weekend. You don't know what to expect.
Wow.
You go out, you get to walk it before the day starts, and
Okay.
sometimes you'll see a section and you start stressing. You never know what's going to happen, you know?
Right.
So,
Really? Okay.
but once you
It's
ride,
so
it
interesting.
kind of goes away. You know, once you're
Yeah.
riding, you're in the zone and you're not really thinking about
You can
anything
walk
else.
it, but you can't ride it before?
No, so the day schedule is, say track walk is about 10:30 a.m.
Yeah.
After track walk, you get ready, you have a free practice, which
Yeah.
is untimed. You get 8 minutes out on the track.
Holy crap.
You have to figure everything
That's so
out in
cool.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as you guys can see, there's some big jumps that you have to figure
I
out.
wouldn't know what.
Might be a little nervous
Yeah.
to hit them at first. So you get that figured out, and then you have 2 10-minute qualifying sessions, and that's how you qualify to even get into the race at nighttime. So then
Okay.
comes
Wow.
7 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
The night show is what it's called. That comes, you got a heat race,
Hell
and that's when like the opening ceremonies go, the
Oh my
fireworks,
gosh.
the fire. And
This is insane.
yeah, that's where the
This
nerves
is
start
insane.
building, and then you have the main event at nighttime, which you have to qualify to get into each one.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a nerve-wracking day. It's a long
Yeah.
day, but it's fun.
Well, so even here when you're practicing, do they change up the track?
So that's actually why I really like Moto Sandbox. So we actually have 2 tracks here. So they don't actually change one specific track. They change it each year. Each
Okay.
year you have a completely 2 different tracks, but it's just too difficult to try and change a track
Yeah.
throughout the week, you know? So
But every
Um,
race that you do, the track
yes,
is completely different.
correct. It's
Okay,
never
there's
the
no
same.
standard form.
Besides
Yeah.
motocross, though, those tracks are the same for the most part every
Yeah.
year because they're not in a stadium. So
Ah.
They're
it's
not bringing
just
them in.
exactly. It's the same track every year for the most part. Maybe a couple sections change, but for the most part, same track. Where
Jeez.
these like literally the track guys, they'll show up on a Monday or Tuesday, work all week because they have to take the football field up or baseball
Right.
field, roll the
Right.
grass
This
up,
is insane.
build the track. The second the race is done on Saturday night at 10 p.m., they're back out there. They're tearing down the track, getting the dirt hauled out, and then putting the grass back out. And by Monday morning,
crap.
you wouldn't
wild.
even know that we were there. It's just back to a football
That's
field
insane.
or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
So is Supercross, like, is there more stress or more, like, a little bit more to it than just doing the motocross? Because you've seen the track, you know the track, like you've been able to race it before.
I can't speak for motocross necessarily. I mean, I grew up racing motocross,
Yeah.
but I haven't raced it professionally yet.
True.
I think it's all nerve-wracking, but I will say Supercross, like, I think there's just more hype to it.
Right.
One being at nighttime, the
Yeah.
fans, you see
Yeah.
them all. Where motocross,
Right.
everything's spread out, as you can see. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't really see the whole track
so the
on
track
a motocross.
behind us is motocross.
Yes, correct.
Oh, and it's just a bigger track in general.
Correct. So like a lap time on a Supercross track is normally like under a minute. It's in the high 40 seconds,
cool.
50 seconds, where a
Yeah.
motocross track is over 2 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So the audience can't even see their guy
Yeah,
the whole time.
exactly. So like Supercross, you see, if you want to watch one guy, you're able to watch
That's
him the
cool.
entire
and
time.
plus you're elevated.
Right.
and
Motocross,
that's
you're only
insane.
going to see him for 20, 30 seconds as they come by.
Right, where you're
So-
kind of
So you don't know what happened out there on the
Exactly.
lap.
Now,
Exactly.
you quickly mentioned a corner track. What is that?
So a corner track is where there's no jumps. Like corner tracks are mainly just specifically to go because corners, like for the most part, your races are won and lost in corners.
Really?
When you're racing, everyone for the most part's doing the same thing. We can all do the same jumps.
Uh-huh.
When you get to a certain level, everyone's doing the same jumps.
Sure.
So you're just trying to find those little tenths of seconds to pick up. And a
Jesus
corner track, the track has a lot of corners on it,
Yeah.
obviously,
Right.
like on either a Supercross or motocross track. So there's a lot more time to make up in corners than there are jumps.
Wow.
Gotcha.
So people just go out to the corner track just to work on
So
that
it's
stuff. And
No
It's
crap.
specifically just a practice
Exactly,
track. Okay.
exactly.
So it's not another racing
Exactly.
thing.
Yes,
I
sir.
understand.
And
Interesting.
when we were pulling up here,
Yep.
we noticed the motocross track first, and it's got the massive jumps.
huge.
And immediately, like, my gut sank, and I wasn't even anywhere near it.
Right.
Like, is there any kind of, like, I mean, what is that like? I mean, hitting a ramp that tall.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie. Like the first couple times you
Yeah.
hit a big jump, you're
Yeah.
pretty nervous.
Yeah.
And then obviously once you get it down, it's kind of muscle memory.
Yeah.
But like that's one thing about Supercross also. Like jumps, the way the jumps are, sometimes you can't see the landing, so they're way harder to judge.
Yeah.
Where motocross, not all, but you can for the most part see the landing. So when
Yeah.
you can see the landing, they're a lot easier to time.
Right.
Where Supercross, you're just looking at a big face, and you're like, oh no, I don't know where the landing is, and so you're just kind of almost guessing in a way on
you've
how
never-
fast to hit them.
And you've never ridden it before. so-
Exactly. So
Right.
that's kind of what makes it tougher. Like the jumps are, they're a lot steeper, so there's less
Sure.
room for error on Supercross.
And you're making those split decisions in the air.
Exactly. And then imagine when you're out there racing and there's 22 total guys out there on the track.
Right.
So 21 other guys all around you, especially on
yeah.
the first couple laps when you're really packed in tight. And yeah, it gets scary
That's
sometimes.
what's crazy to me is just how condensed you guys
Yeah.
are.
And then motocross has 40 guys out
That's
on a race.
insane.
So
I mean, there's a lot more space out there, but
Exactly.
even still, like the first when you're first starting,
exactly. Like off the start,
So
I mean,
compact.
there's not even a foot sometimes in between you and the
Jeez.
other guy.
I feel like that could be like the most nerve wracking thing, just from like an outsider looking in, is how you have to deal with
Like
everybody
claustrophobic,
else and just
right?
like trusting
Yeah.
somebody,
Yeah.
trusting them not
No,
to take
truly,
you out.
like,
Not to be
completely.
burned
especially-
or mangled.
First lap, like you're behind a guy and
Yeah.
you're like, man, I don't know if he's going to jump this jump. I'm just going to hope he does, because
I
if
may
he
clip his
doesn't,
head.
exactly, if he doesn't and you do, that could be a recipe for disaster. So
Right.
there's
You have to
yeah,
take their safety
exactly,
almost
you have
into
to-
mind with
you have to
your
trust the guy in
safety.
front of you, you know,
Yeah.
and make a smart decision.
Now, is it
so
like
much to think about.
is it like other sports where there is like direct competition? Do you have like rivals or other teams that like?
You can have rivals for sure, but for the most part, I try to stick to myself and
Yeah.
not get into
Yeah,
it all,
sure.
because
That's smart.
I think when you go to a race and you're focused on one other person, you're just kind of setting yourself up for a failure in
Right,
a way.
sure.
I get
When
it.
you're not focusing on yourself. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, for sure, there are people out there that have some big rivals out there. And
Cool.
obviously, there are some people out there on the gate that I don't like more than
Yeah,
others.
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
or
yeah,
something,
yeah.
but-
Is it their ride style, or you're like, that guy's just a off the course? I saw him not tip a
no,
waiter.
it could be both for
Okay.
sure. It could be both.
Saw him not tip
And
away.
honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're sitting on the gate, I don't know if I'm sure other races are like this as well, but you're almost kind of looking for a reason not to like a guy.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
like,
You gotta get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
you're
motivation.
trying to
Pump yourself
exactly.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like, I don't know. That's just what I do.
It's the
but
same on the line in football. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not
yeah.
personal.
You're
it's
face to
just-
face with another guy in football.
Right,
You're not
right.
gonna be thinking how sick the guy is.
Well,
So
that's what I was
cool.
wondering if like I mean because your team Honda, yeah.
Yeah, Phoenix Racing Honda.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
so like, is there like one of those things where like another team shows up and immediately you're like, oh, that's like Toyota, you know what I mean, or
the
like
Yamaha
or-
boys are
yeah.
It can be, but like I said, like me and as well as my team, like we're all pretty easygoing, and
That's cool.
I feel like in the pits, I feel like we're one of the teams that are laid back and we're just there, and people know we're there having a good time. Because I think, at least for me, the more serious I take it, the
Yeah.
worse I could almost do. So
Sure,
I
yeah,
really just
yeah.
try to keep it loose and have fun. And sometimes people maybe don't think I take it serious, but that's just the way I have to go about it.
Yeah.
To
Oh, yeah.
get
That's
the
amazing,
best out of
though.
myself.
Is it more like, I don't know if it's a race against the track, against like yourself, or like the competitors? I don't know which one is your toughest thing to deal with.
So obviously, you're obviously racing your competitors.
yeah,
But the approach I try to take is just focusing on myself and racing the track. Obviously, sometimes you get caught up in it and you're
Yeah.
focused on another guy. But
Yeah.
like I said, that's kind of when you maybe start taking a step back, and that's not
Oh,
what you want to
yeah.
do. But it's hard not to do when you see a guy right in front of you and you're like, man, I need to pass him.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
right.
But the main goal is just trying to stick to yourself, stick to your lines. But obviously, it gets tough in race situations.
Jeez.
So if we could maybe just kind of go back in time a little bit. I mean, you started when you were 4. You got your first bike. What was that like? And what was the motivation? Did you have somebody in your family that raced?
I did. So my Paul, my dad's dad, actually used to race. My dad had a bike. He raced a little bit, but he didn't really take it too serious. And then my uncle actually turned professional. His name was Bill Park. And so then my mom and dad got me a bike, and I still literally remember that they made me turn around, face the wall, eyes closed, turn around, and I just had a Honda 50 sitting right there. Like I
Oh
remember
my
it
gosh.
to a T. And
That's so crazy.
yeah, so it was. Ever since then, I was hooked. And 2 weeks into racing or riding,
It's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
They're going.
yeah, I told you, 11 o'clock on the dot. They're out
so
there.
cool.
So, my dad, I convinced him 2 weeks after getting a bike to take me racing.
Oh,
And
geez, you were
he-
ready.
No. He got more of a workout than I did. He had to chase me around the whole track because I would go 15 feet, fall over. 15 feet, fall
Okay.
over. He hated it, but I
Yeah.
loved it, and he kept taking me. I got better and
Holy
better, and
crap.
here I am today.
That okay, so you were super young and obviously like fearless. I mean, trying to do it.
Yeah.
And so you had the motivation of
And
your
you have an
your-
engine under you.
Yeah.
You're sitting on
Yeah.
a combustion engine.
At 4 years old.
At
yeah.
4
Yeah,
years
4 years
Wayne
old.
has a 4-year-old. How do you feel about?
Not a chance. Not a chance. But what I was gonna say, like your grandfather is a motivation, your uncle's a motivation.
Yeah.
Like, During your amateur career, was that something that you felt like, man, like I can be great at this? Like, was that your motivation, or was it like a family thing that kind of kept you going?
Yeah, I would say family was a big part of it. You know, they always had my back.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
yeah, and the funny thing is, everyone's like, "Oh, how was your mom during all this? Like, was she always stressing?"
Right.
My mom was like, I don't want to say harder on me, but she was more into it than my dad. Like, if I had a bad race, she's like, "What are you doing?" My dad would just sit over there quiet. So yeah, my mom's all into it. And but yeah, like, there are obviously times where things get tough.
Cool.
You get injuries, you get hurt, and you get down in the dumps quickly. You know, especially if things they start derailing. Things can be going bad, and that's when you got the people close to you to pick you up during those times. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure an injury takes you out. Like, you can't ride.
Yeah,
And
you're
so
out.
Then you lose like
Exactly.
every motivation
Exactly.
and everything.
Back in December, I actually broke my wrist and my elbow. Had to
Good.
get surgery on both.
Jesus.
No way.
And that was going into my first year being professional. It was in the off season. And so, like, I was really down because I'm like, man, I'm going into my first year. I'm trying to get ready. I really want to make a name for myself. And here I am hurt.
Right.
So, like, yeah, I was down in the dumps big time then. But luckily, you know, I got my team now, got my family. I got the people tight in my circle. And
Right.
they're all there to pick me up. And
Did your injury happen while you were riding?
yep, I crashed. I was trying to triple a jump and just had a mishap, crashed, and just obviously must have stuck my arm out.
Yeah.
What do you mean
And,
by triple jump?
so a triple jump is 3 jumps in a row. So it's like three faces, like what we were talking about in a row. I tried to jump all of them and came up short and ended up hitting the deck. So not ideal.
Okay. So that's the front face.
Correct,
You hit the front
correct.
face of the third.
Was it one of those things where you misjudged it, or did you knew they were there and you just wanted to do it?
So I knew they were there. This one, I could actually see the landing. And when I went to go jump it, I just lost traction. So my tires started spinning, and it just kicked me sideways, like in a funky way, and I just wasn't able to recover from it. And not what you want to do. That's
and you
for
see
sure.
it coming. Like, once you're in
I
the air,
did.
you're like, I'm gonna be short.
Exactly. When you're in the air, you kind of know what's about to happen. Unfortunately.
How often does that happen? Like, not just specifically with you, but how often even in a Supercross race are people?
I mean, yeah, there's crashes going on all the time. You know, I mean, it could be even a simple tip over in a corner. That's pretty
true.
normal to happen. You know, so you're just trying to minimize the mistakes.
Jeez.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool that corners take such a crucial role.
And
you
corners
think jumps would be like everything.
Yeah,
like,
corners are a big passing spot too. So that's where other riders might go in and hit another rider and pass them.
They're coming in quick.
Exactly. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do
Jeez.
to pass another guy.
That's
Is
so
that
cool.
is that something that, like, you know, like they have a course here just for the corners? You know, how much time would you say in your off season when you're training and preparing do you spend, like, you know, working on that?
There's a lot of time because there's, like I was telling you, there's a lot of time to be made or lost in the corners.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, that's a big part of it. But for me, Supercross is when you're growing up racing, you're strictly on motocross. There's no Supercross races. So going into my first year of Supercross, you're racing guys that have been pro for 10 years now. So you're kind of
Jeez.
behind
So
the
this is
8
all
ball.
brand new.
Exactly. So it's all new
Right.
to me. So I'm trying to ride as much as I can on Supercross to try and make up for the time that I don't have on the other riders.
Right,
you know,
right.
so that was a big part for me because Supercross is just so much different, as you guys can see. Like, it's just so much tighter, peakier, and the motocross, it's that's what you grow up on, so that's what you're used to.
That's what's so fascinating, man, is that, like, you know, when we came out here today, you know, we see all these different tracks.
Yeah.
But you've got just like a ton of riders who are, like, you know, unloading their trailers and you know, some of these have the RVs.
Yeah,
and they're just ready to go, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
ready to like get out there and, like,
this is a lifestyle. It looks like
Yeah,
it doesn't look like a part-time
100%.
hobby.
Like, since I was 4 years old and started racing, my parents never put pressure on me. Like, my dad would always try to tell me, hey, look, if you sell your bikes, we can go buy a boat. We can go have fun on the lake. I'm like, no, like, I want to race. So it was not my parents pushing me at all. And it's 100% a lifestyle. Like, when you start doing this, you're kind of dedicated to it. Like, in school, other kids, they're going out on the weekends, they're having fun, they're doing whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm going to the track. I'm going riding. Like, it's definitely a sacrifice. You might miss out on some things, like homecoming or prom in high school, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
So
like,
you consistently
I like racing.
raced since 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I never, besides maybe if I had an injury and had to take time off, I was pretty much riding and racing.
It's funny. I think growing up, we all kind of went to different high schools, but you always knew, like, oh, that's the dirt bike kid.
that is true.
Yeah.
Because it's because of the commitment.
Right. It is. And, like, your parents spend a lot of money. This sport, unfortunately, it's not the cheapest sport.
Yeah.
So, my parents, they sacrificed a lot to even get me to this point. And, yeah, my dad was all about just hard work and stuff. And
Cool.
if I were to ever quit out there,
Yeah.
when I was younger, he probably would have sold my stuff right away. And
Wow.
I
Yeah.
don't blame him.
Yeah,
Because,
oh,
like,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
that's
it's
not
a big investment.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
he's not paying for me to go out there and do it half
Yeah.
half butt.
Yeah.
But you can't go out there in like shorts and a t-shirt. I
No,
mean, you've
yeah,
got to be
no.
a helmet, full
Like,
pads.
I mean, for the most part, you go riding.
yeah.
You got to pay for the gas to go riding, even for your dirt bike.
Yeah.
Right.
For the van, the fee to just ride, like it's expensive, you know. So, and the time he's taken away from whatever else he could be doing,
Yeah.
or even missing work
Right.
when we're driving out of
Wow.
state to go to races. So, yeah, it's not something that like I don't blame him one bit. If I were to quit, I'd probably want to sell my
Yeah.
Oh,
my
yeah.
kids' stuff too. You know.
Well, what would you say your schedule is like? I mean, now that you're a professional, and we talked a little bit earlier about you traveling the country and the races are all over the place. But when you factor in practices and then also like traveling,
Yeah.
is it a year-round thing for you? I mean,
Yeah, it's 100% a year-round thing.
That's so
Now
cool.
now being professional though, you have off season, but during the off season you can only take 2 or 3 weeks off completely.
Yeah.
Because then you gotta. I mean, it takes months to get ready for the season, so
Right,
you really
sure.
only have those 2 or 3 weeks to just chill or do whatever you want to do, whether it's go on vacation,
Yeah.
hang out with family and friends. Because right now I've been living in North Carolina because that's where my team is.
Cool.
So I got to come home for a week and a half. Family was excited to see me. I was excited to be back with family, but it gets tough being away from home sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like just yesterday I was able to go out on the lake in Claremont. Like
Cool.
I love that type of stuff in North Carolina. I'm not able to do that. I'm up there. I guess you could say it's for my job. You know, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there
Yeah.
to do a job, and that's
Yeah.
ride and train. And
Man, that's cool.
like for the most part though, my weeks are you'll race on Saturday, fly back home Sunday. Monday I'm back on the bicycle, like
Yeah.
doing a road ride or whatever. Monday I'm riding, or I'm sorry, Tuesday I'm riding, Wednesday riding, and then either Thursday night you're flying back to the race, or Friday morning you're flying back to the race, and you do it all
Holy
over again. So
moly.
yeah, it's like
what did you mean by road racing?
just road cycling. So that's just what you do for off the bike for training. So
Yeah.
you go on an hour to 2 hour bike rides. I'm sure you guys see the cyclists all the time.
Sure, yeah.
And
Is
so-
that normal for
that's
motocross?
that's a big like off the bike thing we do. So it's like cycling, running, maybe some swimming.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got to go to the gym,
Yeah.
pump some iron,
Yeah.
get
Well, stamina.
strong.
Stamina's got to be a huge
Yeah,
thing.
it's especially motocross. The Supercross races for 250 class, it's 15 minutes plus 1 lap. I know 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but your heart rate is literally 195.
Jesus.
Like you're like
That's
you're just
insane.
pinging
That's
the whole
so
time.
crazy.
And then motocross is 30 minutes plus 2 laps.
Right.
Holy
And
crap.
that's in the summer. Heat index, it's over
Yeah,
100
everybody's
degrees,
cooked.
and your heart rate is literally at minimum probably 185. Like
Unreal.
I don't think people realize
No.
how like difficult this sport is. You know, it's
You got to be
and-
flexing every muscle
Oh,
for like
100%,
15,
100%.
20
Tense
minutes.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
there's days
that's
you wake
insane.
up and you're sore. You're like, I don't want to get out of bed,
Yeah.
but you got to
Yeah.
do
It's
it.
your
you know?
job.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
and now it's a little after 11, and we're going to be seeing you on the track here just in a little bit. But how much of today will be devoted to riding? Like,
Yeah, so today, well, before I came here, I already had to do a warm up.
Yeah.
Just some mobility stuff, went for a run. I'll ride today. I'll probably ride for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And after this, I got to go to the gym. So,
Jeez.
yeah, it's
You're in
a full
training.
blown, like,
Yeah.
it's all day, you know?
but
and
you're
then-
living your dream, though.
Exactly.
Like you said.
100%. I would not
This is
trade it for the world.
crazy.
And no
It's
joke,
wild.
like, there's times when you take time off and you don't do anything, and you almost fall into, like, depression in a way
Yeah.
because
Right.
you're like, you're not working out. That's what you're so used to, you know,
Yeah.
riding and training,
Right.
and then you just don't do it, and it's all taken away, and you're like, wow, like this is
So
is
cool.
weird,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
It's
It's got to be like
it's
an
hard to
itch.
explain. It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Like, I
for
got to
sure.
get back on the
Now,
bike.
with
It's
you
been a
training
week.
today for riding for a couple hours, will you just go on the Supercross track and ride that for
lap after lap.
lap
Real?
after lap
Yep.
for 2 hours?
And then if I'm, no, not for, I mean, you'll take breaks. Like,
Okay.
for instance, today I want to work on some sprint stuff. So I'll do 2 laps at a time. Like 2 laps as fast as I can go, take about a minute break, do it again. Do
Wow.
that like 6 times, maybe do a 15-minute moto, go back to the 2-lap sprints. Like you just mix it up. You're not
Gotcha.
just out there completely
yeah, that's what I
burning
was
gas,
wondering. Like,
so-
how do you specifically practice? Like,
Yeah, so something I actually struggle with racing is like that raw sprint speed. Like a lot of those guys are just so good when the gate drops, it just
Yeah.
like
Wow.
forgetting about life and just going
Just
for it.
really?
Right,
And,
sure.
That's something I kind of tend to struggle with. I've always struggled with it. So that's why the 2-lap sprints are good for me, because it's just getting that fast twitch, you know, just
Right.
going for it. So
That's so cool.
something I'm trying to work on right now.
Now, do you have like? I mean, obviously you built a name for yourself throughout your life as an amateur career, and then now you're professional. Outside of your family, do you have other pros that like? Have you been starstruck yet? Or like you've been kind of on the
So
course
it's actually funny. So Claremont, Florida is actually like a hotbed for racing. So you see this facility, you drive 10 minutes down the road, there's 2 other big facilities like
Really?
this.
Wow.
And
I had no idea
I
it was
didn't
even
either.
Yeah, so Claremont, probably top 10 of the best riders in the world. About the top 10 of them live
Really?
here.
Really?
So
Wow.
you're standing in line at Subway, and you're like, wait, oh, this is
Chipotle is a big one. Chipotle is a big one.
Now we know.
So I'm actually I'm buddies with a lot of them,
Yeah.
and like at first,
That's so funny.
because I've always lived in Claremont.
Yeah.
When I first heard one of the riders, his name's Ken Rocks, and he probably has one of the biggest followings in the sport. When I heard he moved to Claremont, I mean, at the time I was probably 9, 10 years old. I was
Really?
like, oh my gosh, this is happening right now.
Right,
Like,
right.
My
That's so
hero
cool.
is like
Yeah.
moving here, and then now there's so many of them, and I'm actually, it's funny because like Ken, I'm actually like. I guess you could say almost buddies with him now. Like
Yeah.
I just went cycling with him.
That's cool.
And,
nice.
like,
Yeah, that's buddies. I'd say.
He helped me at the track a couple days ago with a couple tips, and like so it's pretty cool, you know. And
Yeah.
then,
Right.
I'm like I said, I try to get along with everyone, so
That's
I'm
so
good buddies
cool.
with everyone. Like sometimes you got to pinch yourself, like man, this is cool,
Yeah.
you know. Like
And-
it'd be like, to put it in an example, it would be like a high school kid that just turned professional in the NFL,
Yeah.
and now he's friends with Tom Brady or
Yeah.
something
Sure,
like that.
right.
You know, like
He's getting Tom Brady Sea-Doo that
Yeah.
floated out in the
Yeah,
bay.
like, it's-
yeah.
And you got to like compete against some of these folks, right?
Well, so a guy like Ken Roxon, like I was saying, he's in the 450 class. That's what they call the
Ah.
premier class. I'm still in the 250 class.
Yeah.
So I'm not actually racing guys like that just yet. And for the most part, all the buddies that I have, they're all in the 450 class. So I'm
Yeah.
not racing
Wow.
any of them.
Okay, nice.
So that's good right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
we're friends. We're
Yeah.
friends. You
But
know?
you're coming for him.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. That would be great to say, but got a long road until I'm
Yeah,
there.
sure.
yeah.
Now, for your team, for the Phoenix Racing, do you have teammates that are racing in the same races
I do.
with you?
I do.
How many?
So I have another teammate, Kyle Peters. He'll be racing as well in St. Louis with me, and so he's in North Carolina where the team is right now. So I'll be back with him on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And when I'm up there, we do everything together. We're riding together. We're driving to the track
Yeah.
together. We're flying to the races
Yeah.
together. So
Sure.
he turns into like a brother, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Sure, yeah.
And he's older than me, so he's like another big brother. He's giving me tips. He's got a lot more wisdom on me. You know, he's more experienced, and I just try to be a sponge and soak up as much as I
for
can.
real.
What's the dynamic with you guys? You know, off the track, and you know, your brothers, you train together, but then on the track, what's the dynamic there? Like, are you guys helping each other out when you can on the track, or is it just like you see him just as another competitor? Like, for instance, I know with F1 racing and things like that, they have a partner. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're saying,
draft or
okay,
whatever
you need
behind
to
each
let
other.
your partner lap you because they're going for a champ. You know
Right.
what I mean? Is there anything like that?
So there's in Supercross and motocross, there's actually no radio communication to the actual rider.
Cool.
All there is, it's called a pit board. It's like a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Your mechanic writes on it, and when you ride by super fast, you're trying to read it. So that's all. That's all you really
Wow.
have.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, but for the most part,
Yeah.
your teammate's kind of just another competitor out
Yeah.
there. Obviously, you're not going to go in and T-bone your
Right,
your
right,
teammate
right.
because you probably have a little bit more respect for your teammate than your other competitors.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, you're going to race him just as hard as you race anyone else.
Cool.
Is T-boning another rider allowed?
Not
Wow,
really,
okay.
but I mean,
that pause
yeah.
was everything.
I mean, you can do it depending on how bad it is.
How
There could be-
accidental it looks?
Yeah, I mean, there could be a penalty for it. You could get fined.
Sure.
Jesus.
Or like, for instance, you could get second in the race after T-boning someone, and they could dock you back to sixth place.
Oh,
or something
wow.
like that.
So you don't want to do it.
No, for the most part, you do
Yeah.
not. And I mean, there's times where you're seeing red out there, and you're
Yeah.
just like,
I'm
gonna
screw this
T-bone
guy.
that guy,
Yeah,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
but for
I'll
the
ta-
most part, no, it's
Cool.
not something you want to do. You're not out there trying to hurt someone else, you know?
No.
Well, dude, this has been phenomenal,
Yeah,
man.
it's
like,
awesome.
and honestly, like one of the biggest things we try to do on our show is not just showcase Floridians who are doing amazing things,
Yep.
but also give an educational perspective and teach people who may not know anything about the sport.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I really genuinely believe people are going to be listening and fall in love with the sport because of what you've done.
Honestly, now
And-
after listening, I'm like, okay, I want to watch.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
And
It's an
Saturday
interesting
nights,
sport.
it's live on NBC Sports for the. I
Really?
think it's NBC Sports.
Yeah.
I'll have to check on that and let you guys know. But yeah, I mean Saturday nights.
so
This
wild.
weekend will be St. Louis, so should be live at 7 or 8 p.m.
We'll watch.
So yeah, I mean, like it's on each weekend, and
Come
I
on,
hope I hope
dude.
to get more people watching. You know.
Yeah.
man.
Oh yeah.
Well, dude, you're amazing, man. Honestly,
Thank
dude,
you.
this
Yeah.
has been one of our favorite interviews, and,
Yeah.
and like it's just phenomenal. Thank you for having us out here at,
No,
at
thank
your
you
home.
guys for
and,
coming. This is sick. This
Yeah,
is
and
awesome.
we're gonna get some shots of you riding around.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now the fun part is us getting
Yeah.
on the track and just watching you.
Yeah,
But
I'm getting excited for
How
that.
can people
so.
find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, Cullin Park 43. It's CULLINPARK 43. The 43 was my amateur number. Now I turned professional, so I'm now actually number 140.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
I'm sticking to 43
Yeah.
in the bio because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah,
So,
come on, man.
Yeah, find me on
Very
there on
cool.
Instagram and yeah, give me a follow. So
Sweet.
I'm getting
Sounds good.
closer to 10K, so I'm trying to reach that right now. So
Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
We'll
thanks
try
a
to get
lot,
you
man.
there.
Appreciate
No,
you.
thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.